The Ukrainian president has deliberately harmed us, specifically by halting oil deliveries through the Druzhba pipeline. We were compelled to declare a state of oil emergency. As of today, it is now officially established that should the Ukrainian side approach the Slovak Republic with a formal request for assistance in stabilizing its national energy grid, such aid will regrettably not be provided. As I have previously stated, this represents the initial reciprocal measure, which the Slovak government is fully authorized to implement without infringing upon any international regulations or commitments. A pleasant day to you, esteemed friends. Before implementing today's initial reciprocal measure against Ukraine, prompted by President Zelensky's hostile acts, I had sought to speak via telephone with the Ukrainian president and receive a definitive response as to when, and indeed if, oil supplies to Slovakia would be completely restored. We received a report that the Ukrainian president is prepared for discussions only after the 25th of February of this year. Given the gravity of the situation and the declared state of oil emergency in Slovakia, we are compelled under these circumstances to immediately implement the first reciprocal measure. This measure will be revoked immediately upon the restoration of oil transit to Slovakia. Should this not occur, we will then proceed with additional reciprocal measures. At today's meeting with the Minister of Finance of the Slovak Republic, Vladko Kamenicki, who serves as the sole shareholder of the Slovak transmission system and the highest-ranking official of this joint stock company, I formally requested the participants to hold the emergency deliveries of electrical energy to Ukraine. As of today, it is now officially established that should the Ukrainian side approach the Slovak Republic with a formal request for assistance in stabilizing its national energy grid, such aid will regrettably not be provided. As I have previously stated, this represents the initial reciprocal measure, which the Slovak government is fully authorized to implement without infringing upon any international regulations or commitments. Should the Ukrainian side continue to damage Slovakia's interests in the supply of strategic raw materials, the Slovak government will also re-evaluate its current constructive positions regarding Ukraine's membership in the European Union and will prepare additional measures. Slovakia is helping Ukraine on all fronts. This includes assistance with refugees, providing transport infrastructure, ensuring gas supplies, delivering emergency electricity, and offering humanitarian aid. It also supports Ukraine's European perspective as it fulfills its necessary commitments. Despite that, the Ukrainian president treats Slovakia as an enemy. First, he caused us damage by halting the transit of gas. The losses incurred on our side amount to 500 million euros annually in transit fees. His arguments claiming that by purchasing Russian gas we are supporting the Russian Federation are both false and untrue because numerous Western countries are extensively buying Russian liquefied natural gas. The Ukrainian president has deliberately harmed us, specifically by halting oil deliveries through the Druzhba pipeline. We were compelled to declare a state of oil emergency. We are now drawing from our own strategic reserves. The Slovnaft refinery must now search for oil in a complicated way all over the world, which significantly increases its price as well as the overall transport costs. Meanwhile, our intelligence services are reporting that the oil pipeline in Ukraine is fully functional. The Ukrainian side, however, provides us with different information every day regarding the pipeline's current status as well as their readiness to continue with the transit of crude oil. Our embassy in Kyiv has not yet been granted permission to visit that specific section of the oil pipeline which the Ukrainian side alleges to be damaged. The cessation of oil flow is a purely political decision made with the explicit goal of blackmailing Slovakia concerning its international positions regarding the war in Ukraine. Slovakia is a sovereign country and will not be blackmailed. We understand the difficult situation of Ukraine. However, that does not justify the Ukrainian president's unserious and hostile attacks against Slovakia, which damage it financially and cause it serious logistical difficulties. I must openly say that it sent shivers down my spine when I read the statements of the German Federal Chancellor Friedrich Merz from February 19th of this year. According to the Chancellor, Europe must ensure that Russia will no longer be able to wage war, neither militarily nor economically. And he continued that this war will only end when one of the two sides is exhausted. He obviously only means the Russian Federation. The German Chancellor's statements clearly demonstrate that military support for Ukraine will continue at all costs, despite the evident Ukrainian military setbacks. This is without any regard for the fact that this conflict has no military solution and completely ignores the unnecessary killing of soldiers on both sides. The United States is washing its hands of financing Ukraine. They are pragmatic, sending weapons to Ukraine, but they make them pay for them. Europe is now shouldering the entire burden of the war in Ukraine, which, given the current economic crisis, is nothing short of ideological madness. We don't have the resources to lower electricity prices, yet at the same time we are approving another military loan to Ukraine amounting to 90 billion euros, for which Ukraine will not pay a single cent. I consider it absolutely correct that I did not involve Slovakia in this loan. Again, and at every single opportunity, I will emphasize that instead of deliberately prolonging this unnecessary war, the entire European Union should prepare a truly meaningful and fair peace proposal and then exert its maximum effort to ensure its implementation. I also don't want Ukraine to end up like Czechoslovakia in 1938, when the Allies handed it to Hitler on a platter. Any peace agreement can only come about with Ukraine's full involvement and full consent. However, someone must lead Ukraine towards this as well. I do not envy the Ukrainian political leadership pose, the kind of problems they are forced to deal with. That's also why we are helpful and assist in every way we can. In addition to the donation of weapons, Ukraine received countless of these for free under the administrations of Matović, Heger, and Odor, to the point where we practically became incapable of protecting our strategic facilities, such as nuclear power plants. Slovakia is not Ukraine's servant. If Western countries and Brussels respond positively to every Ukrainian request, no matter what it is, we in Slovakia maintain common sense. We expect Ukrainian politicians to approach Slovakia with the same accommodating spirit as we approach Ukraine. Slovakia has taken in 180,000 Ukrainian refugees. We build direct rail links, support cross-border cooperation, send humanitarian aid, electricity and gas, and as a reward for this, President Zelensky halted gas transit, causing direct damages of 500 million euros annually. His argument that by buying Russian gas we support Russia in the war against Ukraine is false, because several Western countries heavily import Russian liquefied natural gas, and even the gas flowing to Ukraine through our pipeline is of Russian origin. Then President Zelensky will stop the oil flows to us, which will cause a very significant headache. His excuses simply do not add up, because one Ukrainian politician describes the situation regarding the supposedly damaged oil pipeline in one particular way, and another speaks of it entirely differently. Our intelligence information confirms that the oil pipeline on the territory of Ukraine is functional, and that the cessation of oil transit has purely ideological and political reasons. Tomorrow I will visit the state joint stock company SEPS and demand that it halt emergency electricity supplies to Ukraine. If the president tells us we should purchase gas and oil from sources other than Russia, even if it's more difficult and costly and we're losing a significant amount of money, then we have every right to respond. My dear friends, Slovakia is not some mere banana republic that would instantly carry out every single thing that Brussels, Kyiv, or Washington or Moscow might ever wish for. And who wants to turn Slovakia into a compliant servant, utterly devoid of self-respect and national pride? By September of 2027, during the elections, they can turn to progressive Slovakia and those who are like them.